Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this week's Monday Zen and Zazen class. Tonight I will talk about Sawaki Roshi's To You, but before that, as always, let's sit together for half an hour. Thank you for joining. Today I'm going to read from this book starting on page 71. Last time I read the first quote of chapter 12. Let me read it once more. What's Zazen good for? Absolutely nothing. This good for nothing has got to sink into your flesh and bones until you truly practice what's good for nothing. Until then, your Zazen is really good for nothing. So here, Sawaki Roshi is again making a point he has made many times before. We talked about this quite a number of times. I explained it 2 months ago. The following quotes basically aim at the same point. Let me read a couple of them. Throwing yourself completely into doing what's good for absolutely nothing. Why not give it a try? So you say you'd like to try doing Zazen in order to become a better person. Somebody is sharing the screen here. I don't know who that is, but maybe you can stop sharing the screen. So you say you'd like to try doing Zazen in order to become a better person. Become a better person by doing Zazen? How ridiculous. How could a person ever become something better? You say you want to become a better person by doing Zazen. Zazen isn't about learning how to be a person. Zazen is to stop being a person. Some say Zen means having an empty mind, right? You won't have an empty mind until you're dead. They think that with Zazen, everything gets better. Foolish. Zazen means forgetting better and worse. You are not going to earn tips doing Zazen. The day is long as a child's day. The mountain is as quiet as the eternal past. Zazen is unsatisfying. Unsatisfying for whom? For the ordinary person. People are never satisfied. So these are 7 quotes altogether. Let me try to explain them one by one. Throwing yourself completely into doing what's good for absolutely nothing. Why not give it a try? So Sawaki Roshi has been saying over and over, Zazen is good for nothing. And that's why we're doing it. It's not part of the game. We don't try to gain something. If we would do Zazen in order to become better versions of ourselves, it would still be part of this game where we try to be better than the others or be better than ourselves last year. We try to make a progress. But Zazen means to take a break from that game. But just because Zazen is good for nothing doesn't mean that we can do it in a half-assed way. Throw yourself into it. You have to give your all to it. You have to do it with heart and soul. You don't take a break from the game in a half-assed way. Throwing yourself into it. Why not give it a try? And of course, whenever I say, or Sawaki Roshi says, Zazen is good for nothing, somebody else says, but Zazen actually changed my life. And of course, that's true. But Most of the time, we experience this life-changing effect of Zazen when we throw ourselves into it, and we don't do it to chase after some small goal, but we just do it. We just sit, we just allow Zazen to do Zazen. That's when Zazen really starts to work or have effects. So you say you'd like to try doing Zazen in order to become a better person? Become a better person by doing Zazen? How ridiculous. How could a person ever become something better? So that's basically what I call playing the game. You try to improve yourself. Try to be better than yesterday. And in a way, that's fine. And as I said, of course, we can improve ourselves as persons. And it's not always wrong to aim at being a better person. But that's not the goal of Zazen. That's not the goal of Zazen. You even stop that kind of game, that self-improvement game, self-optimization game. You take a break even from that. How could a person ever become something better? Well, you could, of course you could, you can. But even that is part of the game. You say you want to become a better person by doing Zazen. Zazen isn't about learning how to be a person. Zazen is to stop being a person. Stop being a person in Japanese. It's ningen no haigyo. Haigyo means that a business goes out of business. Basically, you close the store. A company goes bankrupt. So in a way, you could say Zazen means to go bankrupt as a person, which is a pretty extreme way for what I basically call take a break from the game. You stop playing the game. I think that's what Sawaki Roshi means here when he says you close the business of self-improvement. This business of self-improvement goes bankrupt. That's Zazen. Some say Zen means having an empty mind, right? You won't have an empty mind until you're dead. Actually, I was preparing for this class today around noon and was thinking of writing the Chinese characters on a piece of paper. But I forgot to do that. If you give me 2 minutes or so, I'll grab a paper and a pen and I'll be back. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Basically, this would be no mind or Japanese mushin written with Chinese characters. The one above means no, nothing, or in this case, you could also say it's empty. And the one below is the mind. So an empty mind, people would say no mind. And Sawaki Roshi here says, until you die, your mind will never be empty. But there's other Zen teachers, they say exactly, well, that's the mind you need for practicing Zazen. The goal of Zen practice is to reach this empty mind. How come that Zen masters contradict each other? Maybe it's also because, well, you can use this phrase in different meanings. Empty mind can also mean a mind that's open like the sky. So it doesn't necessarily mean that your mind is always, how do you say, clear like the sky, there are no clouds, but it's open like the sky. That means on a cloudy day, the sky is open for clouds to be there. On a rainy day, the sky is open for the rain. It allows the rain. Sometimes there's a storm, there's a hurricane. And basically, that's the case for our Zen mind as well. It doesn't mean mushin or empty mind in the sense that there's never any clouds. There will always be some clouds, according to Sawaki Roshi. Or maybe sometimes there's a cloudless sky, but the next day there are clouds again. And Zen means to be, well, open for that. And another phrase that's written with this character that most of you know is Wu Wei in Chinese, non-doing. And in a way, it's similar in that non-doing doesn't mean that you just lie on the sofa and don't do anything. But non-doing, in a way, is the most active state that's possible. You allow the universe to be active through you. It's just that you don't insert yourself into the activity. You don't make the activity about you. It's not, I'm doing Zazen, but Zazen can do Zazen. When you do yoga, ideally, it's not you doing yoga, but yoga expressing itself. That's Wu Wei. So the Wu in Chinese or Japanese, mu doesn't mean know nothing, but it means open. There's no ego in there. There's just open space, but there's full activity. Or in the case of the mind, doesn't mean that the mind is empty, but the mind is open to everything, but you don't cling to it. I think Suzuki Shunryu Roshi in Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, said it's like you keep the front door open and the back door open, and thoughts, emotions, a lot of things pass through. It's just that you don't serve tea to the things that pass through. You don't stop them, but also you don't close the door. But, well, Sawaki Roshi here says, forget about an empty mind. Your mind will never be empty until you die. And the next one, they think that with Zazen everything gets better. Foolish! Zazen means forgetting better and worse. Also in the Fukan Zazengi, the manual for Zazen Dogen Zenji says, stop thinking about good or bad. And that doesn't only mean which of us two is the better one and who is worse? Or is my Zazen better today than yesterday? It also means, like what Sawaki Roshi here says, forgetting about improving yourself. They think that with Zazen everything gets better. Foolish means, Zazen means forgetting better and worse. Stop making comparisons. I often get this feedback that people tell me, I have the feeling that my Zen is not so good. Maybe it improved a little bit, but then after a while, maybe you think, maybe it's not as good as it was in the beginning. In the beginning, I still had beginner's mind. Recently, my Zazen is getting worse. And for sure, my Zazen is not as good as Sawaki Roshi's Zazen must have been. But actually, how can you compare? There's only one Zazen that's true Zazen, and that's the Zazen that you did today. There's no other Zazen. There's no comparison possible. So don't try to improve your Zazen. You can only do today's Zazen, which is beyond comparison. Zazen means forgetting better and worse. You're not going to earn tips doing Zazen, but most of us are hoping for some tip, for some reward, for something in return. I practice Zazen daily for 6 months, a whole year. I want something in return. I want my, how do you say, kozukai in English? What children get from their parents. I don't know.
Pocket money.
Pocket money, exactly. We're always hoping for pocket money from the Buddha, from the Buddha. Buddha, please give me pocket money. I've been doing Zazen dutifully every day. You're not going to earn tips. You're not getting pocket money from the Buddha for doing Zazen. The day is as long as a child's day. The mountain is as quiet as the eternal past. I'm not quite sure if Sawaki Roshi is quoting here from a song or poem maybe. But basically, these two lines that he's quoting here express, well, the feeling, the scenery of Zazen. The day is as long as a child's day. Probably we all have this feeling that when we were still young, a day was really long. A day seemed never to end. And a year was especially long. A year, when you're 5 or 6 years old, a year seemed to be almost eternal. When Christmas was over and you were waiting for the next Christmas, you have to wait for a whole year. It takes forever. But now, when we get older, we probably all have the feeling that time is running faster and faster. And 1 year is not so long anymore. What I find surprising from time to time, when you get used to this feeling, time is getting faster and faster. When you return to this moment, for example, while doing Zazen, and you watch your breath, or you hear a bird sing outside, or you just watch the needle of the watch move, the needle of the clock move. Does the needle of the clock move faster than it moved when you were a child? Are you breathing faster than you were breathing as a child? Is the bird singing faster? No. It's just when you kind of remember, you look back, then it seems that the time is running faster and faster. But that's just because you're not here in this moment. When you're really in this moment, you're with the breath. You're listening to that bird outside. You have a good look at the needle moving. You notice, actually, time is running at the exact pace it was running when you were a child. It just feels as if it was running faster and faster, but it doesn't really feel so. You think it's running faster, but when you really, with the breath, you keep your eyes on the clock, you listen to the bird, you realize the day is as long as a child's day. The mountain is as quiet as the eternal past. That mountain might refer to your Zazen posture. Unmovable. Things around are moving. But this mountain is still sitting quietly as it has been sitting there 100 or 1,000 years ago. Zazen is unsatisfying. Unsatisfying for whom? For the ordinary person. People are never satisfied. I already spoke about this feedback that I sometimes get, that I'm not practicing real Zazen. My practice is not improving. I'm still not really satisfied with my practice. What am I doing wrong? I have the feeling something is wrong. I'm doing something wrong. And I don't know, maybe some of you are aiming for enlightenment, but after 3 years, after 5 years, after 10 years, you still haven't got this enlightenment that you were wishing for. Maybe some of you still can't sit in full lotus, although you would like to sit in full lotus. So you're unsatisfied. Zazen is not satisfying you. The question is, who is not satisfied? You, as ordinary beings. But Sawaki Roshi says, ordinary beings are never satisfied. How can you expect that Zazen would satisfy the ordinary person in you? Don't expect to be satisfied by Zazen. Zazen is not a tool to satisfy you. Zazen means to, file for bankruptcy as an ordinary person. You close the business of self-improvement. Just do with your whole heart and soul that is good for nothing. Okay, so much from my side for today. If you have questions, things you would like to share, you're welcome to do so. Kenza, please.
Thank you.
Thank
Hello,
you.
everyone. In the first part, when you were talking about the sky, I was just reminded that in Dzogchen, the idea is that the sky, like the mind, should be like the clarity of the sky, in the sense that it's full of potentiality. So from that mind, anything can rise.
Yes.
Rather than just the image of, clearing the clouds and having a clear, of course, you have to clear the clouds and have a clear sky, but you just let things happen, because it's all, I don't know, the stars that appear and the clouds that come and the rain and whatever else. So it's about the same view. It's just a different angle of the way it's approached, I think.
Yes, yes. I don't know much about Dzogchen, but I often hear that it's very close to Zen. Any other things you would like to ask or share? Pascal, please.
Yes, hello. Yes,
Hello.
I'm a first time participant. First time sitting in Zazen for this long. And yeah, it was very interesting. I was having a question regarding the Mushin and Wu Wei you talked about.
Yes.
So this was something I discovered 2 years ago, and I was immediately like hooked by it. And like the Wu Wei, like the action without the ego, or the action where the ego is looked through, to say, right? So I just thought this was genius in a way. And so oftentimes, for example, when I do sports, like I just go and I like practicing, like to a wall or something, if I play tennis, or I don't know, just for myself. So almost like the thing does itself. So I can relate to it. But at the same moment, that presents a question to me. How is that, like, our Western world is built on this, let's say you are the doer, right? So there's like, on the one hand, the action like Wu Wei, which is almost, the action is done, and then there's the logic of the doer. So
Yes.
I was just wondering, how does that fit together? Like, in a way, you could say, if there's only action, there's no doer. Like, what does it even mean? Like, is there any accountability to it? But at the same time, we are so much in the doer logic in our world. How does that like fit together? I was asking. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't fit together well. That's why I think Sawaki Roshi is emphasizing over and over again, you need to do that which is good for nothing. Because if we do something that's good for something, and good for whom? For me, then we get very motivated. We do our best to gain this, which is good for me. And then the doer gets into play. But giving your whole, giving your everything to that which is good for nothing, it makes it easier for the doer to disappear because there's nothing to gain. There's no pocket money for the doer. And once you realize that, it becomes easier to give yourself to the activity of Zazen and to allow Zazen to do Zazen rather than you doing Zazen in order to reach this or that goal, or you in order to improve yourself, become a better version of yourself. All of these self-improvements involve a doer. And, well, the point of Zazen is you forget that doer. Of course, at the end of the day, you have to get your behind on the cushion. So if you lie on the sofa and you say, well, I wait until Zazen does Zazen, you will have to wait for a long time. So you have to get up, put your push cushion out there and sit down. But the idea is that after that, you just allow Zazen to happen.
Thank you.
Schwanzan, please.
Yeah, today we're talking about you like Zazen to do Zazen.
Yes.
Like doing yoga take me a long time
Mm,
to understand like yoga, doing yoga.
mm, mm, mm,
Because when we doing like challenge asanas, we
mm,
always
mm.
want to control your body, control your mind, control your
Yes.
breath.
Mm,
Actually, when you're more relaxed, when you're learning how to relax,
mm,
doing challenge
mm, mm,
asanas, when you're faced to something maybe at the beginning you think it's
mm,
impossible, maybe for how you make a balance on your hand or how you make a balance
mm,
in very difficult situations, taking me
mm,
for a very very long time to starting understand actually it's
mm.
not you controlling your body. You
Mm,
have to allow your body to understand, to
yes.
just let it go. It's
Mm,
very
mm, mm,
difficult to it take a very long time to very how to say very long time continue like
mm, mm,
every day you have to do your sadhana, your
mm, mm,
practice. I think it's the same like zazen. Some student like I feel when you're doing anything like yoga practice, sometimes like something you feel maybe today I didn't do it good. Sometimes I feel, oh, this part I'm doing good. Some
mm,
people they focus on the good things.
mm,
Some people they maybe like 180% is good, but 20% is not good. And people they
mm,
only see the 20%. Oh, I'm not
mm,
good
mm,
doing
mm.
this. I'm not, and then they lose the passion, how to say,
Yes.
passion for practice. They
Mm,
feel like you're playing a game. You always
mm, mm, mm,
lose. You always lose. So you lose
mm,
the how to say your like at the beginning when you start doing something, you want
mm.
keep going, going, going. And when you're
Yeah.
doing something, maybe only 10% you
Yeah.
think is not good, and then you feel depressed, and then you lose the
Mm,
90% good things.
mm,
I think it's
mm.
not about good or bad. You have to allow your yoga happening, and then you
Yes.
feel free, whatever is good or not good. You
Mm,
enjoy the practice. I think that's the most important things, like what we are talking about today.
mm, mm, mm. Yeah, I think that there are certainly some similarities there between yoga and Zen. I don't know so much about yoga, but I practiced for a while Ashtanga, and you get one asana after the other. And each time the teacher gives you a new asana, you're very happy you made a progress. There's a new asana. And when it goes quicker, you feel even better. But I could imagine that, well, at one point, maybe you don't make progress so fast anymore. Maybe there's an asana which is a big, I don't know, difficulty for you, and you work on this asana over and over again, and still your teacher still thinks, well, maybe you should work on it a little bit longer. Well, something similar can also happen in Zen when you work with the koans. You have to solve these koans. Your teacher gives you a new koan each time you solve one. And when you make quick progress, you feel, oh, good, 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 I'm making progress. But then it can happen that although you think you have the answer, the teacher says, no, you have to work longer on this. And thinking back, often those are the most, how do you say, interesting times of practice, or you can grow in those times. When you make quick progress, actually, that's not so good so good practice, because you feel good about yourself. I'm doing it. I'm proceeding. But in those times where you have the feeling, I have no idea how to solve this koan. I have no ideas. I'm at the end of my wisdom. I used all ideas I had, and still I don't have it. And then if you're lucky, you realize, but actually it's not about solving the koan. It's allowing the koan to work with you, or kind of in yoga it would be the asana. Allow the asana to work with you. And often it's the most difficult asanas that have the most power to do something with you. The ones that are easy for you, well, those are easy. They don't do much with you. But often when you have the feeling you don't make a progress, and maybe it's not the right asana for me, maybe this koan is not the right one for me, maybe I should ask my teacher to give me a different koan. Well, that's exactly the right koan for you. By the way, Schwan, I think you're doing this year again a retreat in May in Antaiji. Is it full already, or is there still vacant places?
Yeah, we still have a space for people to come.
I think it's the second half of May.
May 29th to June 2nd.
Beginning of June, yeah. So if anybody of you is in Japan at the time and you're looking for a temple to spend some days, usually the Antaiji retreats are booked out, but Schwan-san will lead a yoga retreat from May 29th until the beginning of June. So either you contact Schwan, or you can also go to the website of Antaiji. There's still free spots, and you can explore the connections between Zen and yoga for yourself. Okay, it's already 9:05 here in Japan, so I would like to say thank you to Schwan and all of you. In 1 week, we get back to Shunryu Suzuki's Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. So I wish you a good week. Hope to see you again. Have a good night. Thank you and bye.